Hello and welcome to Business Insight. My name is Alfreda Ambe Bassi. We begin the first half of the show with top stories in the world of business. And Vivian Oguche will be here for the second half of the show. First, a rundown of the top stories. CEO ADSC Ambassador Victor Walsh Oluwafemi says Nigeria must rethink fiscal responsibility for PAC optimization. Securities and Exchange Commission reveals growth in state bonds from 20 million naira to 1.13 trillion naira in capital market. Netflix efforts to crack down on password sharing leads to 6 million subscribers in third quarter. Details of these stories and more coming up after this break. Welcome back. Experts have stressed the urgent need to redefine fiscal responsibilities and oversight functions to enhance the performance of the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee. This was part of the submissions of the CEO Africa Development Studies Center, Ambassador Victor Walsh Oluwafemi, at the one-day national colloquium on the unveiling of Public Accounts Committee, PAC of members of the 10th Assembly and Leadership Training in Abuja. While welcoming participants at the event, Ambassador Victor Walsh Oluwafemi talked about the significance of the training.
Principles of fiscal responsibility and good governance for the common good of all.
Speaking at the event, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, represented by the Director of Economic Research, Mrs. Ogbonna, applauded the giant strides of the Public Accounts Committee.
The work the Public Accounts Committee is doing the nation. And as a new body that has been elected and constituted, you are coming on board. You've started very well. He appreciates you, and he's looking forward to a cordial relationship between PAC, the chairman, and its committee. We are all partners in progress.
While delivering his keynote address, the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, noted that the National Assembly will deepen its engagement with executive arm of government and called on President Bola Tinubu to.
The work of the PAC is complemented by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. It is in this light that the Auditor General's office needs to be occupied. The appointment should be in place because it is a requirement of the Constitution. So this is a call to Mr. President to look into confirming the person who is there now or anybody of his choice to take up the role of the Auditor General of this country, it will send the right signal out that this government is really ready to pursue taxpayers' money.
Similarly, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, represented by Mr. Bamidele Salam, says
committees must actively engage NDAs to ensure optimal service delivery in accordance with legislations passed by the National Assembly. He further charged that in the discharge of this assignment, we must be guided by established legislative ethics and standing orders of the
The Public Accounts Committee is under the leadership of Honorable Bamidele Salami, with Honorable Jeremiah Umaru serving as the Deputy, Honorable Femi Festus Ogunsoya, who serves as the Director and Clerk of the Public Accounts Department. Notable speakers at the workshop included experts from various fields like Dr. Idahosa Osamanze, a renowned expert in strategic leadership, Dr. Francis Musa Damboy, a specialist in financial oversight, and Samuel Orouje, an expert in crisis management. And away from that, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has revealed substantial growth in state bonds value, registered in 1978, increasing from 20 million naira to 1.13 trillion naira in the debt capital market. This growth is attributed to reforms aimed at protecting investors and improving market confidence. SEC is committed to ensuring transparent operations of rating agencies. The 10-year Capital Market Master Plan seeks to deepen the debt capital market and unlock private capital for infrastructure projects. Private funding for infrastructure is crucial to bridge the gap, and transparency in project generation and cost-benefit analysis is essential. The webinar also highlighted the importance of infrastructure investment for economic growth and job creation. The goal is to leverage the credit rating industry to drive economic development and prosperity in Nigeria and the African continent. And moving on, Netflix's efforts to crack down on password sharing has led to a boost of 6 million subscribers in the third quarter. As the only major profitable streaming service, Netflix has refrained from raising its ad-free prices this year, instead focusing on limiting password sharing beyond households. Analysts say that the price increase might be considered after the Hollywood actors' strike is resolved. Despite the strike, Netflix has managed the situation well, thanks to its global reach and strong content library. The company is also expected to raise prices for its ad-free options, potentially driving more subscribers toward the ad-supported tier, projected to generate around $188.1 million in revenue for the third quarter. Wall Street expects robust quarterly subscriber additions for Netflix, with third quarter revenue likely increasing by 7.7% to $8.54 billion. Coming up next is the stock, commodities, and currency market trends. Stay tuned. Welcome back. At the close of Tuesday's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 377,970,661 shares were traded in 6,729 deals. This corresponds to market value of 5,169,621,239 naira and 74 kobo. Compared to the previous NGX trading day, there was a significant 75% increase in trading volume, a 46% increase in turnover, and a 13% increase in the number of deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at 37 trillion naira. In total, 118 equities listed on the NGX participated in trading. There were 27 gainers and 22 losers. Julius Berger Nigeria led the gainers with a 10% increase in share price, closing at 36 naira and 30 kobo per share. It was followed by Computer Warehouse Group, Champion Breweries and Wando. On the losing side, Multiverse Mining and Exploration experienced the most significant decline with a 9.49% decrease in share price, closing at 2 naira and 67 kobo per share. It was followed by Unity Bank, Ella Lakes and Nigerian Breweries. eTransact International recorded the highest trading volume with 44,100,000 shares exchanged, followed by United Bank for Africa, Access Holdings and Fidelity Bank. And we move to Ghana. At the close of Tuesday's trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange, a total of 51,545 shares were traded, corresponding to a market value of 135,938 Ghanaian cedi and 78 pesewa. Compared with Monday's GSE trading day, Tuesday's data shows an 87% decline in volume and a 70% decline in turnover. The current market capitalization of the Ghana Stock Exchange is 73.9 billion Ghanaian cedi. In total, 17 GSE-listed equities participated in trading, ending with one loser, namely GCB Bank, with a 0.28% share price depreciation. GCB Bank recorded the highest volume of 26,980 traded shares, followed by MTN Ghana, Fan Milk, and Clydestone Ghana. And in the commodities market, the present prices are as follows. Wheat is being traded at 571.75 US cents. Gold is valued at $1,924.49 US dollars. Silver is priced at $22.91 US dollars. Copper is being exchanged at $3.55 US dollars, and Brent crude oil is trading at 89.64 US dollars. And that's it on the news this morning. I am Alfreda Ambe-Basi. Vivian Oguche is waiting to walk you through the next phase of Business Insights. Stay tuned.
Three Wise Men. Iconic sculptures and statues adorn major metropolitan cities of the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, the statue of three men designed to depict the state's cultural heritage and to usher in visitors and tourists into the ever-accommodating center of excellence is no doubt an astounding work of art. Originally built under the administration of Colonel Raji Rasaki, designed by Bodu Shodende in 1991, and standing over 12 feet high, referred to as Agba Meta or Aro Meta, the three sculptured chiefs were placed along the Lagos-Ibadan toll gate to welcome people coming into Lagos State. The statue called the Three Wise Men by many has become a major signature for the state. Three white-capped chiefs clad in white wrappers, knotted across their shoulders and with clenched right fists are shown in the artwork. The images fascinate and create impressions in the minds of visitors coming into the state, captivating the attention of visitors who look with keen interest, pondering on the messages which the posture of the engraved images signifies. The Three Wise Men has been relocated thrice from its original position at Ojodu Berger end of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to Magodo area before its final relocation to its present site at Olowopopo Drive. The sculpture has suffered severe damages over the years and renovated. Bodu Shodende, through this sculpture, depicted the highest honor that can be afforded to anyone in the Eko greeting tradition. The Three Wise Men, Arometa, Suk Enlightenment.
Welcome. This is Business Insight. My name is Vivian Oguche. The first half was handled by my colleague Alfreda Ambe, and we are going to be touching a little bit on what she talked about before we delve into the topic for the day. So I'm not flying solo, of course. I got Ayotebi Taufik, Atoyebi Taufik. He is a seasoned business development expert with a distinguished career spanning over 6 years. He is the CEO of Uniprime Innovations Limited, and he has displayed unwavering leadership and commitment to driving innovation and growth in the business world. Taufik, thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So let's talk a little bit about our major news item for the day, where we talked about optimal performance as regards oversight functions, fiscal responsibilities and oversight functions, how to redefine fiscal responsibilities and oversight functions. I want you to react to what Ambassador Olufemi Walsh said regarding repositioning this aspect of the nation's economy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I totally agree with Ambassador Walsh's position on the park. It is very important for us to understand the oversight function of the National Assembly is to oversee the executives that they are doing the right thing at the right time. They are putting the resources of the Federation to use judiciously. So what Ambassador Walsh actually said is not out of line. It is what every Nigerian should look out for from the National Assembly member. So there are a lot of insights into what he has actually mentioned. So he mentioned that they need human capacity development, which is right. They need access to information. A lot of time we hear that the executive member, probably the president or the vice president or anybody among the executive members, has actually made some expenses without getting approval from the National Assembly. I think we need to look into this critically, and there should be sanctions. Our constitution actually provides sanctions for such actions, but I think what we actually need to look into more is the execution of what has been stipulated in our national document. So what the ambassador said is actually not out of place. He has actually reiterated what every Nigerian citizen has been yearning all this while. So that's my reaction to what he said yesterday.
Thank you so much. That was well said. Now let's talk about the impact of e-hailing business on Nigeria's economy, which is what you are. That's a specialty, right? So let's talk about it. Now, Nigeria is Africa's most populous country and one of the largest e-hailing markets in Africa. Now, by the end of 2020, the country's digital ride-hailing or e-hailing market was expected to have generated $292 million, right? That was in 2022 in revenue and account for 15% of Africa's 48.6 million e-hailing Uber base. Now let's talk about the impact of this in Nigeria. How has e-hailing affected traditional transportation in Nigeria?
Thank you. The e-hailing business is actually an innovation that has come to stay. The traditional transportation system tried to fight it in several countries when Travis and his partner started it in 2008, 2009. It actually got into Nigeria in 2010. And a lot of traditional transportation operators try to fight it. We read in the news how they are kidnapping the Uber drivers back then in the early stages of their existence in the country. But at the end of the day,
some of these traditional drivers are not here to defend themselves. So can we try not to point fingers, because we don't have it on record that e-hailing cab drivers were kidnapped by traditional drivers. So if we can try to do without that, I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we read the challenges they faced when they started the e-hailing business, and we saw the growth of e-hailing business around the world and in Africa especially. I think around 2019 or thereabouts, Uber sent out an email that they have actually completed 1 billion service in Africa. So which Nigeria is actually part of the largest market they have in the continent. So the growth of e-hailing business in Nigeria has actually impacted our economy. As the last time the Semfree actually did a study whereby over 50,000 Nigerian youths are gainfully employed by the e-hailing service, the industry, and each one of them as a driver, as an employee of the industry makes above 100,000 naira every month, which is far above the minimum wage an average Nigerian makes every month. So it has actually impacted our unemployment statistics. It's actually given jobs to Nigerians that can actually take the opportunity that e-hailing business provides us with in Nigeria. And the market has been growing ever since Uber launched in 2010. We have Bolt, formerly Taxify, then we have the Oka, we have Max, which actually deals in the Okada. And we have Gidi Cab as well. A lot of e-hailing platforms are coming up and springing up in the industry, and it has actually impacted us a lot. Sometimes in the Southwest, we had OP. When OP came into Nigeria, they started with e-hailing Okada riding. When you go to places like Ibadan or thereabouts, where the traditional Okada riders are taking 150, 100 naira, the OPay platform is going to tell you that, okay, come around and pay 50 naira, we're going to take you to wherever you are going. It has actually improved our economy and our system in a lot of ways, apart from the employment aspect of it as well. They have actually contributed a lot in the aspect of data gathering as well. You read in the news that Lagos State actually partnered with Uber to improve their urban planning system, and it actually gives us an input to what what e-hailing can actually do, apart from transporting our people from one place to the other. They can actually help us to gather information about Nigerians. I was surprised 3 months ago when I received an email from Google Map, and they were telling me the busiest day of my previous month. And I tapped on it and I saw my itinerary for that day, where I went to, the shopping mall, the office that I came to, and every other details of my journey that day was actually captured. It can actually help us to monitor people, to improve on our security apparatus. It is actually a blessing to this country. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Welcome back. We do apologize for that break in transmission. It was due to technicalities. So I was talking to my guest, Taufik, who mentioned something very interesting about Google sending him, his itinerary for the busiest day of his life. That was interesting. And so what you did was to tie this conversation up with data gathering and utilization in Nigeria and Africa, which is the way to go. But one of the things you mentioned, Taufik, was how Lagos State is collaborating with e-hailing business operators to plan urban areas. So my question is, how about the rural areas? Are they left out in all of this? How are the e-hailing business, is it thriving in rural areas just the way it's doing in urban areas?
Oh, thank you. Putting e-hailing together with rural areas, there are a lot of factors that might not actually allow e-hailing business to thrive in rural areas. Take, for instance, our internet connection. A lot of rural areas in Nigeria still battles with internet. They can't access the day-to-day internet that we access in our cities. So the first thing we need to look at, what are the factors that are going to make e-hailing thrive? So the government actually has a lot of work to do there. That is one. And then secondly, the spending capital of people. E-hailing transport is not actually very cheap. It is thriving on its convenience and security. So when you compare the traditional mode of transportation with our e-hailing business, you're going to realize that a lot of people from the rural areas, because of their capital, their available capital for spending, they are going to choose to use our traditional means of transportation over e-hailing business. And what is a business without profit? So a lot of e-hailing businesses are not going
Okay, we'll work to get Taufik back, but these things happen, you know, technicalities. Well, in addition to his role at Uniprime Innovations Limited, Atoyebi Taufik is also a respected agrofinance consultant. So he consults on issues like this. Is why we are having him on the show. And I'm being told that Taufik is back. Thank you for coming back. So please continue with what you were saying.
Okay, thank you. So there are a lot of factors that are going to determine whether e-hailing businesses are going to thrive, like I said, in the rural areas. So the government actually needs to look into our internet connection in the country. A lot of rural areas don't have access to day-to-day internet activities. Then how many rural areas do the people actually have the kind of education that can make them use e-hailing services? I'm talking about the kind of device you need to be holding. Rural areas now, the young people are leaving rural areas for city. Rural-urban migration is actually on the right side. And a lot of the time they do not make use of it. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So, thinking about that, I would like to say that we should get the urban cities right first, gather the amounts of data that needs to be gathered before we venture into our rural areas. Like Lagos State have started by partnering with Uber for sharing of traffic data. And Lagos State is actually doing well with that. Of recent, we read in the news and that you don't actually need to be stopped by a last man before you are being penalized. When you disobey the traffic rule, you just find an email or a text message, or when you want to renew your vehicle particulars, you are going to be charged for whatever offenses you have. That is actually a step to go. That is the way to go for us in this country. When there is data sharing and we are making use of those data immediately, it's actually a very applaudable progress for the government. I would just implore that they shouldn't stop in Lagos State. They should extend it to places like Abuja, Kano, and other states around the country. It's actually going to help us. At the same time, it's also going to help us to know the amounts of numbers of people inside the most popular, arguably the most popular e-hailing platform in the world, Uber, for example. When you book as a user, when you book on the platform of Uber, they have your data, they have your everything. The driver also they have catch up the data. If anything goes wrong on that journey, they know the number of they know the person that has actually made use of the platform and requested for the particular driver at the point in time, so they can actually trace who is who that are involved in a particular situation that warrants them to investigate. Abuja, here we read the news of one chance every day. I think e-hailing platform can actually help us to curb whatever challenges in that regard as well. You know the amounts of passengers in a particular vehicle, you know the number of the vehicle, you know the address of the driver. So these are part of the prospects that we enjoy from ELA platforms.
Let's talk about some of the challenges the e-hailing business operators face. We would also talk about some of the challenges people who benefit from these services face. But let's start with the operators. Now, all operators of e-hailing taxi services must pay the state government 10% service tax on each transaction paid by the passengers to the operators. They must commence the renewal process 3 months before the expiration of the existing licenses. Now some of these operators have talked about challenges, including shifting regulation, stiff competition, and poor infrastructure. What's your take? I'd like you to react to that.
Please come again, I didn't get you.
Okay, so I talked about tax, you know, the amount these operators pay to government. I also talked about the biggest challenges for ride-hailing businesses in Nigeria. So these ride-hailing startups face major challenges, including shifting regulation, stiff competition, and poor infrastructure. How can these be addressed, and also with a view on regulating this business in Nigeria?
Oh, thank you. Every business in the country actually needs to be taxed, except in quotes, except otherwise. There's nothing bad when government tax businesses that are actually making money. That is how the economy is going to grow. That is how developed countries have achieved what they have achieved today. The regulation shifting is actually where we actually need to look out. The government needs to do better in that regard. And rather than chasing the businesses when they have kick-started, rather than making the regulations to start chasing people, I think we need to have a document that addresses, if you want to do this in this particular area, you need to have this, you need to have this, and these are the things that you are going to need to put in place before you can actually start this. There's no solid regulation for ELA platform in Nigeria at the moment. So the government actually needs to look into it. They need to address that issue with immediate alacrity, and it's not going to be for the operators alone. There's going to be one for driver, one for passengers, and other stakeholders of the ELA platform. So in the aspect of government, they need to look into drafting a comprehensive policy with immediate alacrity, because day in, day out when we wake up, the ELA business is growing in the country. But their numbers during the quarters of last year is not what we have at the moment. So the business is thriving around the continent, and Nigeria is not excluded. Apart from that, the infrastructure-wise, the government actually needs to look at our infrastructure holistically, because apart from the e-hailing businesses, a lot of infrastructure when it comes to mobility is not really doing well. We implore the government to actually look into our roads, because one of those things that's going to determine whether e-hailing business is sustainable or not is the amount of maintenance these drivers actually use monthly on their cars. The amount of money they spend day in, day out to fix their tires that has gotten damaged because of the bad roads, or because they couldn't walk into the late nights of hours thinking somebody somewhere might actually kidnap them. So the government needs to look at the infrastructure aspect and their security as well. And the security cuts across both the users and the providers of the service, the drivers. We read in the news some months back that some guys, some persons are actually killing drivers around Lagos and its environs. It it is so alarming that people wake up in the morning and they don't even know maybe they're going to get back into their house in the evening. Government needs to do well in the security aspects of this country so that businesses can thrive. People can go out early in the morning and hope that they're going to go back home completely in the evening with their car, with their body intact and all of those. Their security needs to be put in place. Then infrastructure, we need to develop that. A lot of things are not going to work without infrastructure. And the infrastructure is not the road alone. We need to look at our internet broadband as well. How strong it is. Is it, I used a boat driver 3 days ago, and throughout the time I was in the sky, his network was so bad, he couldn't even start the ride. So it is very important that we look at all of these things holistically, and we take an holistic approach to actually solve the problems these guys face day in, day out.
Thank you so much. So we are wrapping up now. So I'm just going to ask you one question. It's good that you brought up the experience you had with one of these e-hailing cab drivers not too long ago. Most of the time, if you use these e-hailing services a lot, you know that if you keep a driver waiting, you'll be charged, right, for keeping them waiting. But it's not the other way around. These drivers sometimes will keep the passenger waiting for long. Sometimes they will tell you to cancel. Nothing is done to reward the passenger. What can be done so that both passengers and operators are happy as we wrap this thing up? If, for example, you are in the shoe of a passenger who waited for long and wasn't attended to, what would you expect the operators to do to appease you?
As a business owner, one of the things that, okay, let me come in from this angle. A lot of things might actually delay a driver, part of which is traffic, part of which is the internet we made mention of. Imagine a driver driving to your location and the internet was lost along the way. He won't be able to use the Google map to direct himself to find the route to your house. So probably he might be waiting at one corner, waiting for network, looking for network here and there. So that angle needs to be looked into by the government. Away from that, I think that the business owners, the e-hailing business owners actually needs to look into this as well. While I might have waited for 30 minutes and after 30 minutes, the driver is going to tell me to cancel, or he's going to not show up on time. The benefits the users can actually get might be the next time you use our platform, you're going to have a discount on the service, and that's going to be a compensation for the time wasted at your previous experience. And the driver, when looked into very well, it's not delayed by traffic, it's not delayed by the internet. Maybe he just decided that I'm not even going again, and that has actually delayed the user, can actually be penalized. Some e-hailing platform charges 25%, charges 10% or thereabouts. If the amount of cancellation a driver has in a day is up to some amount of time, they might actually make him unavailable for users, or perhaps that might serve as a penalty, or perhaps they're going to charge him for wasting users' time and a reduction in the patronage of a particular platform that is being considered in this kind of situation. So the penalties of that actually boils down to the ownership of the platforms. They are going to the stakeholders, the management of such platform actually needs to sit and look into it, because like you mentioned, if I'm going to be charged and fined for delaying a driver, then if a driver does otherwise, there should be compensation from the business owners to me as well.
Very much. That's a safe place for us to land. Thank you. Atoyebi Taufik is a consultant and CEO of Uniprime Innovations Limited. Taufik, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We do hope when we call on you again, you will be a part of the show.
I'm really pleased. Thank you so much for having me.
So we've been looking at the impact of e-hailing business in Nigeria, as well as its impact on Nigeria's economy. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for being part of it. Why don't we do this again, same time, same station? Until then, have a very good day. I am Vivian Oguche. Bye for now.